Hello everyone. Today I'd like to speak about effective communication, and this is something that comes up over and over again because every day we are communicating. We are communicating with the people around us at home, we are communicating with the people around us at work, and everywhere that we go, whether we're shopping or socializing or networking, everyone you meet on the elevator or in the parking lot, you are communicating with them. It could be as simple as a hello. It could be a little bit more complicated where you're negotiating a purchase or a deal, or it could be just checking out at the supermarket, and then it translates into work or school where you're dealing with colleagues or you're dealing with couriers or tradespeople. And so we have different communication styles, obviously, for every one of those scenarios, but we need to know how to apply these skills and how to effectively communicate with people, because so much of our time now is spent online, and especially with the younger generation, they don't necessarily have those skills, those social skills, the proper ones to effectively communicate. And somewhere along the way we're losing it too, because we're so used to texting, so used to emojis to convey our feelings and our emotions, and we're also using a lot of slang and a lot of abbreviations. So it's important to know when they can be applied and when they should not be applied. So let's start from the beginning. So we have, say, a corporate email to send out. So I've been asked, is it appropriate to use emojis? And my answer is always, you have to know your audience. You have to know who's going to be receiving it to see what kind of relationship you have with them. If it's non-existent, if you don't know this person and it's the corporate email, I would say do not use emojis. Use professional language, use proper grammar, convey your message, and really understand how you want the other person to interpret what you're saying, because things get lost in translation over emails and texts. And so read it back before you send it always, just to, number one, proofread. And we all know that spell check, it doesn't always spell check it the way we want. So make sure that you read it again and see that that's exactly what you want to say. And then think of yourself in their shoes. Would they understand it this way, or is there any room for misunderstanding? And once you've eliminated any room for misunderstanding, then you can go ahead and send that email. And so I would say stay away from that. If you're sending it to someone who you know and who you have a relationship with, again, you have to know your audience. If you have that type of banter or that closeness, then yes, you can use emojis for sure. I would stay away in a corporate setting from using hearts and things like that, because obviously in a corporate world, most things are being tracked and saved and looked at by superiors. So I would keep it a little bit more professional, but if you have to use a happy face or something like that, yeah, to keep it to a minimum, but for sure you can use a little bit. And then if you're sending it to business prospects, definitely I would not do that. Anytime you're doing business, anytime you're trying to make a deal, anytime you're trying to negotiate, you have to show your power and you have to show your professionalism. So I would definitely stay away from those emojis. Okay, so we've covered that. Now let's talk about just communicating within the office or within the community. So there obviously are different times and different ways that you can talk to people, but I would say generally keep things professional. Again, obviously stay away from cursing and using foul language. It does not look professional. Some people are accepting of it, some are not. You don't know who's going to take offense. So in general, to avoid any problems at all, just keep it professional, keep it clean, and again, know your audience. If you develop a closeness or a relationship with somebody that you're able to do that with, then absolutely go ahead. But other than that, just keep it neutral. And then you have situations where you go in and you're looking for a job. So you're sitting there for an interview, or you're sending a resume. You've been called in for a phone interview. So there are different ways when you're talking to someone over the phone or when you're talking to someone face-to-face. Body language is huge. So always sit upright. Make sure that your head is held high. Make sure you're not looking at the floor. Keep eye contact. It's very important. When you answer a question, be direct, be concise, be clear. And if you don't know the answer, if you don't know how to answer, be honest. It's very good if you internalize the question before you blurt out an answer, because you might not understand exactly where they're coming from and what they want. So my suggestion for something like that is to listen to the question, have them, if you need to, repeat it, or you repeat it back to them by acknowledging what they're saying. So if they say to you, can you tell me a little bit more about your last job and what you loved in it? So I would say, you would like to know about what I loved or what I was good at my last position. And once they confirm that that's the information that they require, then you can go ahead and give that information. If you need to think about it a little bit, do that. Most interviewers, most people that you speak with will appreciate you taking the time to really think about your answer, that you're not just blurting it out. So never be afraid to hesitate just for a little bit and really think about it, because you're showing them that you're not just carefree with your words and your responses, that you're really internalizing, that you want to give them the most qualified answer. So that's something that you can think about and that you can practice with yourself. So I know that there are lots of videos out there and lots of articles about the types of interviews and questions and things like that. Don't be fooled. Those things, yes, they can be asked, but a lot of interviewers are now getting a little bit smarter, and they are throwing you a curveball. So they'll ask you something that you haven't been asked before. And some of these are psychological questions and answers, so they're not looking for the right answer. They're looking for the most appropriate answer. They're looking to find out how you would respond in a situation when put on the spot. So however you do it, just be you, be real, be authentic, and that's what's going to come through, and that's really what they're looking for. Because when you're going for a certain position, you're really selling yourself. You're not necessarily selling all your skills. Lots of people have the same skills as you, some less, some more, but you're selling yourself because you need to fit into that position and you need to fit in to work with them. So remember that. So then we're looking into just between colleagues. Again, keep it neutral unless you have a serious close bond with someone. You never know how they're going to take it. You don't want to be put in a position where you're causing friction in the workforce, or they're going to report you or something like that. So be respectful, never cross boundaries and lines, and always know your place. Okay, so it's really important to understand not everyone's like you. Not everyone's going to tolerate what you would tolerate. So just be aware and get to know the people around you. You're spending more time with them at work than you are at home. So they become like your second family, and it might not be a close family, but it's there nonetheless. They're your work family, and you really need to understand who they are and what they're all about in order to effectively communicate with them. Then you have the home life and the social life, and you have your family dynamics and your friends and things like that. So at home, it's very important to understand that when you're coming home at the end of the day, not everybody is going to be in the same mood as you. So you have to read the situation, and whether someone is waiting for you or whether they're meeting you there or whether they come later, leave everything at the door, good or bad, until you survey the essence of the home and really understand the energy there, whether it's good or whether it's bad, whether it's some people are just tense at the end of the day until they've had a chance to wind down, have dinner or something to drink, and some people are so excited to share with you that they may be sharing a happy moment when you've actually struggled through the day, and so you're feeling like, oh my God, how can they be sharing this with me when I'm in this rut? They don't know that, and you don't know what they've been through. So again, you have to understand where they're coming from before you take offense, before you go on an attack, or before you shut down. You really need to recognize what it is that they want to tell you and why. And again, it goes the same way for you. And when you're dealing with your children, you don't know what their day was at school. What their day was like at school. You don't know what they've been through, if they've been bullied, if they've had something happen with their friends, if they've hurt themselves. Like, it's just, these are things that we need to find out before we start talking about our day and sharing information, right? Likewise, when you have friends and you haven't seen them for a long time, or if you have seen them, but you're just getting together again for a cup of coffee, you don't know what's been going on in their life unless they've been keeping you updated, but that's not going to happen with everyone all the time. So it's important to ask questions, to say, hey, how's it going? How have you been? Anything you want to share with me before we get into our conversations? Because if they're not in the same place as you, it can cause a problem. It can cause a lot of misunderstandings, and they can, some people, they take things the wrong way. So if you're so happy-go-lucky and they haven't been so the same way, so lucky in the same way, then they can take offense to that. And again, you can be the same way with them. So effective communication is really about understanding the other person's story, really knowing the what, why, when, how, where, and asking questions, listening, internalizing before you respond. And there are so many deeper levels that we can get into. I'm actually writing a course about this, and I'm going to be giving training on effective communication, and I coach people on that as well. So whether it's career coaching or personal coaching, life coaching, I do help them with their communication skills. And it's important. It's really, really important, because at the end of the day, how you present yourself and how you communicate with others will determine the outcome of all situations. So you always want it to be in your favor. You always want to have the best outcome. So again, really think about what the other person is saying and why they're saying it, and how you respond to them, and also with body language. And remember that online and offline are two separate things. They're two different things, and how you would speak to someone on Facebook or through WhatsApp is not the same way that you would speak to them on a business email or even a text. So remember, know who you are, know who they are, know where you are, and understand and apply. And it takes some practice, it takes some getting used to, but in order to have a successful communication style, it all comes down to the basics, and that is that we need to make ourselves understood in order for them to understand us, and they need to understand that we may not take things in the same way that they're saying them or writing them. So like I said, there's so much more to say, and I would love to sit here, but it's been 12.5 minutes already, and I'm sure I've lost some of you, halfway through, but that's okay. If you have a chance to come back to it, you always can. And yeah, there's so much that I can share with you about this. So if you're looking for more information, please reach out to me and let me know. If you're interested in any of my training, let me know as well. I'd love to speak with you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it. If you think of anyone that could use this information, make sure you send it to them, and subscribe to this channel for more great content and more videos to come. And we'll see you next time.